Good afternoon. It's time for Volusia Magazine. I'm Amber Patterson. Today we'll have the opportunity to join Volusia Here and Now reporter Joanne Magli up in the sky as she takes us to the Ponce Inlet Lighthouse. Then health reporter Stephanie Strong will teach us how we can stay safe at work with her report from the Volusia County Health Department. And finally, we'll join Community Information Director Dave Byron in the studio for a chat with guest Beach Patrol Director Kevin Sweat. Those segments, news, and more coming up on Volusia Magazine. Stay tuned. Recently, the Volusia County Council received an attention-grabbing presentation given by Health Department Director Dr. Bonnie Sorensen about the single most preventable cause of disease, disability, and death in the United States today. In Florida, 88 people die daily from tobacco-related illnesses. Each day around the county, more than 4,000 young people try smoking for the first time, and another 2,000 youth become regular daily smokers. And so, in an effort to reduce these numbers, the Volusia County Council recently passed a resolution urging all retailers who sell tobacco products to cease the sale of marketing of all candy-flavored tobacco products. The Volusia County Health Department recently presented findings by the Harvard School of Public Health that show cigarette makers are targeting young smokers with new candy and liqueur-flavored brands that mask the harsh and toxic properties found in tobacco smoke. Dr. Bonnie Sorensen, director of the Volusia County Health Department, advised the County Council that the study also found tobacco companies use youth-oriented, colorful, and stylish packaging.
These tobacco products are candy-flavored, very colorful. The packaging is very attractive to youth, more so than adults. Plus, our youth think that these products are benign. They're not toxic like normal tobacco products because of their candy flavor and because of their colorful packaging. Unfortunately, 26.3% of high school students here in Volusia County are current users of tobacco products compared to only 22.2% statewide.
It's the hope of the County Council and the Volusia County Health Department to greatly reduce those numbers and to help ensure your youth live long and happy lives. If you have any questions about this or any other health-related issues, you can always log on to volusiahealth.com. Well, it looks like the vacant old Cancun Lagoon location near the Daytona Beach International Airport won't be empty much longer. The Volusia County Council has approved the lease for a new Outback Steakhouse on the property of the Daytona Beach International Airport at the corner of International Speedway Boulevard and Midway Avenue across from the Volusia Mall.
And we were very pleased when they made a proposal to take over the old Cancun Lagoon site at the corner of Midway and International Speedway Boulevard. That site's been vacant for a couple of years, and we wanted to get a restaurant operation in there. They're a first-class operation. That was actually approved today by Volusia County Council. So we're looking forward to that kicking off on April the 2nd, and they have a very ambitious construction schedule. They should be open this summer. They plan to serve lunch and dinner when they start, and they're going to be investing about $4 million in that facility. It's a first-class operation. It's going to be a beautiful facility, a great asset for Daytona Beach International Airport.
Outback will pay annual ground rental starting at $175,000 per year, or 2% of gross receipts, whichever is greater. The lease term for Outback is 30 years, after which time the property and improvements revert back to county ownership. Besides new employment and rent income for the airport, the property also will generate significant property tax revenue.
The airport is a self-sufficient entity. It has been for many, many years, will continue to be in the future. There are no Volusia County tax dollars that go to support the airport. Basically, all of the revenues that we earn on the airport are used to support the operation, and that's very, very important to us, and we are always looking for ways where we can expand that revenue base and keep the airport self-sufficient.
With nearly 2,000 acres of property, the county-owned airport has nearly 500 acres of vacant real estate that can be developed for aviation and non-aviation uses as defined in the airport's master plan. Under construction on the south side of the airport is a major new hangar for jet aircraft owned by local insurance giant Brown & Brown. Major development and redevelopment efforts are also underway by Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, which is on airport property. In 2011, the university invested approximately $36 million in the Daytona Beach campus. Embry-Riddle's multi-year capital improvements program is estimated to approach $200 million in new investment, is creating hundreds of construction jobs, and will promote longer-term, higher-income employment opportunities in Volusia County. On the south side of the airport along Bevel Road, the airport owns several hundred acres of undeveloped property with great potential for commercial and aviation development. The airport has been in discussions with several potential developers concerning this property. For more information, you can log on to flydaytonafirst.com. Gone are the days when you had to walk into a library to check out materials. Now you can download digital books and music anytime, anywhere, even from your home computer. The Volusia County Public Library System offers downloadable audiobooks, ebooks, and music from its website, which is volusialibrary.org/downloads. They're available 24 hours a day. All you need to get started are a library card, a personal computer, and an internet connection. Once downloaded, the books and music can be listened to on the computer or transferred to a CD or portable device such as an iPod, Nook, or Kindle. At the end of the lending period, they automatically expire and are returned to the collection. There are never late fees. With thousands of popular fiction and nonfiction titles to choose from, the collection is guaranteed to have something for everyone. You can download best-selling novels, well-known classics, self-improvement guides, and more.
Well, I think e-readers are becoming more and more popular. One, just because of their portability. It's easier for you to carry the lightweight e-reader than it is sometimes a hardback book. I think a lot of people like the fact that it's convenient. They can download from home. They don't have to travel anywhere. I think for a lot of our folks who have any vision issues, the e-readers allow you to expand the size of the print to the size that works best for you. So I think there are advantages to the e-reader, and I think that that's why a lot of folks are moving in that direction.
To learn more about free digital downloads, you can visit volusialibrary.org.
Hi, I'm Joyce Cusack, Volusia County Council member at large. As tough economic times continue, Volusia County residents and visitors are seeing the value of public transportation. During the last fiscal year, VoTran had more than 3.5 million boardings. VoTran offers a variety of services, including fixed route buses, a beachside trolley, van pooling, and a gold service for people who can't ride fixed route buses due to disability or age. At $1.25 a ride, VoTran drives a great bargain. For more information about VoTran, visit votran.org.
And now let's join Volusia Here and Now reporter Joanne Magli at the Ponce de Leon Inlet Lighthouse.
Probably since the bicentennial, Americans have begun to realize the rich engineering history of structures in America and find the importance of those structures.
The structures John Mann is referring to are lighthouses. Mann is a tour guide for the Ponce de Leon Lighthouse in Ponce Inlet. It's the tallest lighthouse in Florida and the third tallest lighthouse in the United States.
This particular lighthouse is one of a series of tall coastal aids to navigation that was built by the United States Lighthouse Service to help, of course, navigators ply the various waters north and south of the east coast of Florida.
The Ponce de Leon Lighthouse is a private and active aid to navigation, although it's not run by the Coast Guard. The Ponce de Leon Lighthouse Preservation Society maintains the light, turning it on every night and off each morning. Construction of the lighthouse began in 1884 and was first lit November 1st, 1887. Back then it was known as the Mosquito Inlet Lighthouse. The name changed in 1926 to Ponce de Leon Inlet Lighthouse. The explorer Ponce de Leon was believed to have been there in 1513. If you're going to walk the lighthouse, you have to be in good physical condition because you'll be climbing 203 steps to the top. And once you climb all the way to the top, you can take in the breathtaking views of the intercoastal and the Atlantic Ocean. And while the view is great, the lighthouse is a great lesson in American history. One of the most famous American short stories actually had a great deal to do with this lighthouse. In 1897, the USS Commodore sunk 12 miles out to sea, with author Stephen Crane on board. Crane and 3 companions spent 30 hours coming ashore in a 10-foot dinghy, following the light from the lighthouse. The sinking of the Commodore in part led the author to writing the famous short story, The Open Boat. But as Mann points out, there is much more to this historic lighthouse than just the lighthouse.
In addition to the light tower itself, there are the 3 residences of the 3 keepers who were here, and also the outbuildings, which serve, in addition to the residences, as museums.
The Lighthouse Museum has a large exhibit on the Commodore, as well as other historic artifacts through the end of 1997, representing Florida heritage, maritime tradition, and lighthouses of the world. For Volusia Here and Now, I'm Joanne Magli.
Ponce de Leon Lighthouse is open 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. During the summer months from May 28th through September 3rd, it's open until 9 p.m. Admission is $5 for adults, $1.50 for children 11 years old and under. For more information, visit ponceinlet.org. Whether it's picking up a pile of discarded papers, closing a file cabinet drawer, or replacing a faulty electrical cord, a safe environment is a productive environment. In this segment of Community Health Matters, Stephanie Strong shows us how to stay safe in the workplace.
Accidents in the workplace happen more frequently than most people tend to believe. In the United States, tripping, slipping, and falling ranks second behind automobiles in terms of accidents. According to the U.S. Department of Labor, every year almost 6,000 people are fatally injured at work. More than 4 million people suffer non-fatal injuries, including over 1 million which cause them to miss 1 or more days of work. The good news is that most of these accidents can be easily avoided by taking a few simple preventative measures. Never leave cords, boxes, and other materials in walkways or block emergency exits. When reaching, always use a ladder or non-sliding footstool instead of climbing on a desk or chair. Report poor lighting or missing handrails on stairs immediately. Never carry loads that block your view at any time. Use proper lifting techniques that allow the legs, not the back, to do the work. Balance the loads in file cabinet drawers to reduce the risk of dangerous top heaviness. And remember, always report accidents to your supervisor immediately.
Slips, trips, and falls have only a minor impact on the workplace. You only need to pay attention to a slip, trip, and fall incident if there are injuries. You and your employees must work together to eliminate slip, trip, and fall hazards. Good housekeeping plays a major role in preventing slips, trips, and falls in the workplace.
For Volusia Magazine and on behalf of the Volusia County Health Department, your guide to better health, I'm Public Information Officer Stephanie Strong.
If you have any questions about this or any other health-related issues, you can always log on to volusiahealth.com. And now it's time to head into the studio to join Community Information Director Dave Byron for a discussion about beach safety with his guest, Beach Patrol Director Kevin Sweat.
Well, thank you, Amber, and hello, everyone. The Volusia County Council has approved a series of changes that are designed to enhance safety of pedestrians on the areas of Volusia beaches where vehicles are allowed. Beach safety is our subject today with our studio guest, Beach Patrol Director Kevin Sweat. Kevin, thanks for being with us.
And thank you for having me.
Hey, Kevin, before we get into some of the specific changes that we're implementing on the beach, let's start with a little bit of perspective. These changes were a while coming. Set this up. How did these changes occur?
Well, I think as the beach evolves, and of course you have accidents and you have other incidents that may look at the totality of what you do on the beach and how do you manage beach driving and how do you reorganize after you've had areas condensed into traffic-free zones, non-traffic-free zones. And I think it was time to take a holistic look at the beach and determine, is there something we can do that changes things, but maybe not to the dramatic point to where it's not the same beach. So
Right.
I think we were able to do that through this process, and I think some good things are coming.
Kevin, you've been on the beach a long time, something like 30 plus years, so you've seen a lot of things tried on the beach. Some of those things were successful, some of those things weren't successful. But I think we'd all have to agree that since the county took over beach management in 1987, the beach management system has been evolving. And maybe this is just an evolutionary series of changes that are being implemented.
Yeah, I think this division and department in the old days has probably changed more than any division within the county over the years, and we have to. Because I think the beach changes doesn't change from a standpoint of, yes, we still have sand, we still have water, and we still have rip currents, and you still have those intangibles there. But what changes is where the beachgoers go to, what condominiums in place, what hotels in place. All that changes, so you have to constantly evolve them on, and technology changes.
Right.
And when technology changes, that's when you really got to try to keep up with the times. And as we discuss some of these changes, you'll see that technology is a big player in this.
And some of these things, Kevin, that we're going to talk about, some of these things were recommended by an independent traffic analysis, a study, if you will, the County Council Commission last year. And some of these things are recommended by an outside expert in traffic management.
Yeah, they came down to the beach. They spent 3 or 4 weekends on the busiest weekends, and they really looked at the traffic patterns and looked what was going on, and worked with our staff very closely as well and said, has this been the trend over the years? And they were able to tell them yes or no. So I think those changes were well thought out and then vetted through many different areas before they got to this final conclusion of what may work.
One thing we know, Kevin, there's probably no area anywhere in the world that is comparable to the setup that we have in Volusia County. It is unique.
Yeah, we have a huge coastline
Right.
and a lot of miles of beach for really a fairly small community. So most of the people coming to our beach are coming from outside areas. So,
Right.
And it's very different, like you say, with the amount of non-driving areas and the amount of driving areas we have. It's unique.
Kevin, let's just list some of the changes that are taking place, and then we'll go back and talk about some of them individually. But what sorts of things are you getting ready to implement on the beach?
Well, I think one of the bigger challenges that we faced, not only from a safety standpoint, but we looked at how do we get cars on and off the beach in a fashion that doesn't allow traffic to back up into A1A on some of those main entry points, coming off 44 and I-4 and 95. And one of the things we looked at doing is creating a couple different ramp techniques that may work. And one of them is some ramps will just be incoming traffic only, to where 3rd Avenue, I'll use an example, in New Smyrna backs up into A1A quite frequently on weekends. Right. We decided to use 2 lanes, flush them into the beach, no exit lane there, but hopefully that will help the congestion and keep it simpler there. The other thing we did is allow residents to use 3 ramps that are historically not open during toll season. Let those residents use those ramps to ease some of the congestion on the busiest ramps, and also not have them wait in line as long to get on the beach. So those are the couple of things we did from a traffic management standpoint. And then the other things were really looked at from a safety related standpoint. And I think one of the ones that is probably the most untested and unknown at this point is one-way traffic.
Right.
It's still up in the air. Will it work? Will it not work?
Right.
Will it solve any major problems? And we don't know, so we've suggested 3 areas, which is University to Seabreeze, International Speedway to Silver Beach, and Granada down to Cardinal Avenue. So we looked at those 3 areas to implement those, and that's so people understand that cars are coming from north to south, and it's an easier crossing of the lanes to get across. The other thing we're looking at doing is no parking in front of the beachfront parks.
Right.
This will also help not cause the blockage of traffic being parked in front of you, so you can cross the lane without being blocked from a parked car, and they may not even see you. You know,
Right.
if you're a small child and you're 4 foot high, it's tough to see if you're hiding behind a car, and then you jump out and don't know they're there.
Right.
So that's one of the areas. And then there's some other things that council asked legal to draft some ordinances.
Right.
And those are, you know, headlights on, no texting, windows down, some fairly common sense things that legal is going to draft some ordinances, come back to council with, and we'll see if council decides to pass those.
Let's talk, Kevin, a little bit about vehicles. There's been a lot of discussion about vehicles that the Beach Patrol uses, because right now you've been primarily using full-size pickup trucks, and there's even been some talk about limiting the size of public vehicles that are allowed on the beach. Where do you stand with vehicles? And my understanding is you've got a new prototype vehicle that you're testing on the beach right now.
Yeah, we have a 6-wheel utility vehicle that does have a roof on it, and it's opened, and which creates a lot of advantages for us for having an open vehicle. But I think the vehicle is much more maneuverable. It has a smaller footprint. It's not near as wide, not near as tall as a normal full-size truck. It gets all the equipment in it that we need. So those vehicles, we have 8 of them. We have 2 now, 6 are coming. We've tested 2 of them extensively. They seem to work very well. They have some limitations, you know, weather, things like that. So we know we still need vehicles. So that caused us to look at our next stage of vehicle. Do we really need an F-150 pickup truck?
Right.
We've determined we don't. And I think the UTV identified for us that, hey, you can have a smaller vehicle, have all your equipment in, and still serve the public in just an efficient and safe manner. So we're looking at more of a mid-sized vehicle. As the F-150 phase out, we'll not replace them with a full-size pickup anymore, but it may be like a Jeep type vehicle. It may be a mid-range pickup truck. We're trying a couple different vehicles out this summer to see what works best.
And Kevin, if I'm not mistaken, a good many of your vehicles now have interior cameras on them that you can see around the vehicle.
Yes, and that's helped immensely. The right side blind spot was almost 23 feet if you were driving the vehicle, and if someone was laying in the sand, 23 feet you couldn't see them. The vehicle allows a whole right side view of that, and the camera's stuck right in front of them. So it's almost impossible not to see anybody that's sitting or lying there. It's helped immensely. I know with our patrol officers, they said it's made a world of difference on that right side blind spot.
You know, one of the things that a lot of the public may not be aware of, Kevin, is the fact that your full-time people really have 3 certifications. They're law enforcement officers, they're aquatic rescue professionally trained lifeguards, and they're also EMTs. And because you interchange the duties of the full-time people, you have to have a certain amount of equipment on the vehicles that you're in, and that makes it kind of more difficult to figure out what kind of vehicle to use.
Absolutely, because you have defibrillators, you have oxygen, you have a number of things that not only do you have to store, but you have to keep them sealed too, because those items are not good, you know, in the wetness and things of that nature. So you're right, you've got to find a vehicle that works, and you can store all the equipment as well to be efficient and safe with the public.
Kevin, you know, speaking of vehicles, you mentioned it earlier, one of the things that the council has decided to do, and it's kind of a rather simple thing, that is when you're driving on the beach, you're going to have to have your headlights on. I mean, that seems like a common sense thing to do, and no texting.
Yeah, and a lot of vehicles have, you know, running lights that are daylights, and that's great. But the vehicles that don't, you know, we're going to be asking them to turn their lights on once legal comes back with an ordinance change. And yeah, texting obviously makes sense. You're on the beach, you're not going to be paying attention if you're texting. So it makes a lot of sense not to be texting while driving on the beach, because I know from experience driving on the beach, you're probably hitting your brakes 10 to 15 times a day from small children who are running out and they don't see you. So if you're looking down, you don't have that extra second to make that decision.
All right, so once this change goes in effect on the beach, Kevin, I'm texting on the beach, or I don't have my headlights on, am I going to get a ticket, or how's that going to work?
Well, all the ordinances are basically infractions of our beach code, which is an arrestable offense, but it'd be an NTA. In other words, you would be given basically what would look like a citation on the beach, and then you'd be released.
You mentioned earlier also, Kevin, the one-way driving experiment beginning in the north part of the beach, up in the Ormond Beach area, and then moving into Daytona Beach. I wanted to talk about the International Speedway Boulevard to Silver Beach one-way traffic, because that seems to be the area where traffic is the most congested. People like to drive and park in that area. What do you think the impact of that is going to be? It seems like that's a pretty good sized change.
It is, and it's a huge change. And I think, believe it or not, though, this is the area that makes the most sense to us. And it makes the most sense because it is the most congested. And I think it makes it easier for people to park. It makes it easier for people to understand what's available to them as far as driving one way. They understand that there's going to be no turnaround and looking. And that causes a lot of problems in these congested areas where they're turning around, going back to a parking space. Well, here they know they're not going to be able to do that. It makes it simpler. It makes it easier for people crossing the traffic lanes as well. It makes a lot of sense in this area to us.
So in other words, you go south from International Speedway Boulevard to Silver Beach, and then you'll have to exit the beach or keep going?
You can continue on, or you could exit the beach. If you knew there was something, back up by SB that you wanted to try to get to a parking space, obviously you could, make that exit and get off the beach. Or you could just keep going to where there's going to be, two-way traffic after Silver Beach.
Well, Kevin, I want to thank you very much for sharing the information with us. Obviously, the beach is one of the most important services the county provides, and it sounds like overall some changes, but things going pretty well.
I think so. I think you're going to see some changes that will have minimal impact on people, but hopefully make it safer than it already is.
Our guest today, Kevin Sweat, Director of the county's Beach Patrol. And with that, Amber, we'll go back to you.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you for watching Volusia Magazine. If you have any questions about our program, you can give us a call at any of the numbers you see listed here, or you can log on to volusia.org. You can also watch the show online. Just go to volusia.org and click on the Volusia Magazine icon. And we hope you won't forget to listen to Volusia Today, Volusia County Government's public information radio broadcast. Volusia Today airs every Tuesday and Sunday mornings on the local radio stations you see on your screen. For Volusia Magazine, I'm Amber Patterson. Have a great evening.